Magandang araw Pilipinas. Welcome po sa DOST TV Facebook page at YouTube channel. Ito ang programang una sa mga nababanong balita tungkol sa teknolohiya at inomasyon para sa bayan na ihatid sa atin mismo ni DOST Secretary Fortunato Boy de la Peña. Magandang araw po, Secretary Boy.
Magandang araw din, Onin, at magandang araw sa ating mga taga-subaybay.
Oras na para makabalita sa mga updates tungkol sa teknolohiya sa mga riyon at sa buong bansa. Mula mismo yan kay Secretary Boy.
Katulad ng dati ay ibibigay ko ang report ng mga accomplishments ng iba't ibang ahensya at regional offices ng Department of Science and Technology for this week. Uunahin natin ang report tungkol sa kalusugan. Ang ating update ay nanggagaling sa DOST Philippine Council for Health Research and Development. Ito ay tungkol sa isang proyekto na kanilang sinusuportahan. Nasa unang taon pa lang ng implementation. Ang title ay Enteric Solutions, Development of a Vertical Flow Microarray for the Detection of Enteric Viruses. Diseases caused by contamination of water resources are a critical concern around the world. Enteric viruses are one of the leading causes of acute diarrhea outbreaks in the Philippines. These viruses, which reproduce through human hosts, can be transmitted through fecal-oral routes and can persist for a long time in the environment. The project is only on its third quarter of year one, and it has the aim of developing a vertical flow microarray, or VFM, for the detection of enteric viruses. The project will develop a multiplex paper-based diagnostic kit to detect enteric viruses like noroviruses, astroviruses, rotaviruses, hepatitis A, hepatitis E, and enteroviruses like polioviruses using the RPA-BFM technology. And it's also aiming to determine the definitive viral causative agent of acute gastroenteritis among enrolled patients. The rapid diagnostic kits for enteric viruses will be helpful both in the detection of causative agents of the disease in patients and for detecting contamination in water resources. The project will benefit not just the medical practitioners, but also the patients suffering from gastroenteritis, especially those who are immunocompromised, elderly, and pregnant women. Now we go to the Kabuhayan reports. The first one comes from DOST Region 1, Ilocos Region, stating that they have awarded a total amount of 2.645 million pesos as Innovation Enabling Fund for 3 firms in Ilocos Sur. This was announced by the DOST Provincial Science and Technology Center in Ilocos Sur, which turned over the amount that I have mentioned, 2.645 million pesos, to 3 firms under the Small Enterprise Technology Upgrading Program. These beneficiaries are the following. We have the Torres Rice Mill in Cabugao. We have the EP Medrano Furniture Shop in Bantay. And we have the Unis Furniture in Sinait, Ilocos Sur. The science and technology assistance is expected to increase their productivity and income. And we just want to clarify the amount that we advance to them to update their technology. They have to repay under an arrangement wherein they have a 1-year grace period, and then they have 3 years monthly payments to make without interest. The next report under Kabuhayan comes from DOST Calabarzon. And it says in the report that DOST assisted micro, small, and medium enterprises in Laguna have been given a basic electrical safety awareness training held on May 30, 2022. This is through the initiative of the Provincial Science and Technology Center of Laguna. They actually invited the Institute of Integrated Electrical Engineers of the Philippines, Incorporated, East Laguna Chapter, to conduct basic electrical safety awareness training to MSMEs in Laguna. This is still part of our Small Enterprise Technology Upgrading Program, and also in observance of the National Electrical Safety Month. The training was led by the chapter president, Engineer Rainiel Louis Mendiola, together with Engineer Ferdinand Marcelo Abanto, who is the Vice President for Internal Affairs, and Engineer Muhammad Zali Bandao, the chapter treasurer. They discussed the importance of having electrical practitioners as employees or consultants in a company to assure that the company has a safe and compliant electrical system. The next report comes from DOST Region 2 in partnership with the Cagayan State University. Their Food Innovation Center has developed an innovative food, a vacuum fried tomato crisp food they called chichamatis. Okay, chichamatis won first place in the Food Innovation Center North Luzon Cluster Marketing Academy, and it is actually the Food Innovation Center of the DOST Region 2 in partnership with the Cagayan State University, which developed the product. So the academy was actually spearheaded by the DOST Industrial Technology Development Institute, which reported that chichamatis tested product prototypes from Isabela State University, from Pangasinan State University, from Mariano Marcos State University, and from NutriAce's Food Enterprise and the Provincial Science and Technology Center of the Cordillera Administrative Region. The product was developed to address the excessive supply of tomato, which often led to food wastage. The next report still comes from DOST Region 2, stating that 14 micro, small, and medium enterprises in the Cagayan province received set up I-Fund, or the Innovation Assistance Fund, under the Small Enterprise Technology Upgrading Program of DOST. So they have awarded a total of 15,142,782 pesos to 14 micro, small, and medium enterprises. And they are all coming from the province of Cagayan. They tagged this group as Batch Madiskarte, since these are MSMEs whom they described as masipag and matyaga, coupled with the madiskarte despite the challenges of the pandemic. So madiskarte, I would think, includes being innovative. The science and technology interventions that they will receive through the Small Enterprise Technology Upgrading Program are expected to help these firms increase their productivity significantly and to become more competitive. The next report comes from DOST Region 10, stating that they have trained 23 Camiguin researchers on patent drafting together with the Intellectual Property Office Philippines. This is in an effort to stimulate the innovation ecosystem of Cagayan Island. And so DOST Region 10 initiated this capacity building program in collaboration with IPO Philippines. Some of the salient topics covered were overview of the Philippine intellectual property system, patent granting and registration for utility models and industrial designs, particularly the procedures, and the drafting and evaluation of specifications on researches. Next report, still on Kabuhayan, is a report coming from the DOST Cordillera Administrative Region, stating that they have signed a memorandum of agreement with Benguet State University for the rendering of technical services and consultancy in the province of Benguet. The next report is still on Kabuhayan. It's a report coming from DOST Region 12, a university researcher and faculty member, now a successful Hito entrepreneur in Cosal, General Santos City. He took pride, okay, in presenting to us when I visited the place, the farm owned by Saxonilin Saifis Farm, located at Purok Nangka, Conel, General Santos City. During that visit, the owner, Professor Arlene Mandas, okay, informed us and shared with us her experience in translating the technologies that she has developed through R&D into an enterprise that now assists many small entrepreneurs, okay, in raising, growing, and marketing of Hito, not only in Region 12 but also in other adjoining areas. The next report is already on Kaayusan. And this is again coming from DOST Region 12 since I visited Region 12 last week. And here, DOST Region 12 turned over the water source technology through the Community Empowerment to Science and Technology Program to the commanding officer of the 39th 1B Philippine Army Unit in Makilala, South Cotabato. This was last June 3, 2022, when I paid a visit to their headquarters in Makilala, Cotabato, along with our DOST staff led by Director Sami Malawan, and together with also with DOST Science Technology Information Institute Director Richard Burgos. Okay, so this was the turnover of the hydraulic ramp pump supported water supply system in the area, which is headed by Lieutenant Colonel Balagtay, the commanding officer, and this is benefiting the community in Makilala. Now, the next report is actually a report about the inauguration of the X-band radar rain gauge monitoring facility within the University of Southern Mindanao campus in Cabacan, North Cotabato. And I was there for the inauguration of this radar rain gauge monitoring facility. President of the University of Southern Mindanao and the Regional Director of DOST Region 12, and of course the Administrator of Pag-asa. Okay. The next report, still on Kaayusan, comes from the DOST Industrial Technology Development Institute, stating that they have conducted a workshop on post-proficiency testing for organic elements in food analytes. The DOST ITDI, through their Metrology in Chemistry section of the National Metrology Laboratory, organized the two-day post-proficiency testing workshop covering 4 post-proficiency schemes, testing schemes. These are for benzoic acid in mango juice, for histamine in canned tuna, for salbutamol in meat, and for chlorpyrifos and pentoate in mango. A total of 22 representatives from the participating laboratories attended the workshop, which was conducted virtually. The workshop achieved its aim to provide an opportunity for the PT provider and the participants to discuss results and share their experiences. We still have reports under Kaayusan, and this one comes from the DOST Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, or DOST PBOLS. They have capacitated the DepEd Science focals in Mindanao. The DOST Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology kicked off its training on communicating volcano, earthquake, and tsunami hazards for education program specialists and supervisors for science through an opening ceremony conducted via video teleconferencing on June 7, 2022. Using a blend of live webinars and self-paced activities that will run until June 17, 2022, the training aims to capacitate selected education program specialists and supervisors for science from the Department of Education and also from the Ministry of Basic, Higher and Technical Education from BARM. The training focuses on the science behind volcanic eruption, earthquake, and tsunami, as well as their disaster prevention and mitigation strategies. The DOST PBOLS Training for Teachers is a continuing program of the Institute under the Capacity Development for PBOLS Stakeholders, or TEACH VET DRR, training educators and administrators for a collective headway towards volcano, earthquake, and tsunami disaster risk reduction. It is actually accredited by the Professional Regulation Commission, Continuing Professional Development Council for Professional Teachers. Successful participants to complete the training and the training requirements will be granted 8 continuing professional development units. There is a report here that the Hazard Hunter PH was selected as finalist in the International Data Corporation's 2022 Smart City Asia Pacific Awards. Okay, DOST PBOLS led Hazard Hunter PH Up has been selected as a finalist in the 8th International Data Corporations or IDC's Smart City Asia Pacific Awards for 2022 or SCAPA. This is under the Public Safety Next Generation Emergency Services category. The IDC Smart City Asia Pacific Awards 2022 recognizes latest innovations and transformations led by cities, governments, and ICT suppliers across the region. Hazard Hunter PH was among the 75 entries shortlisted from 330 nominations in the Asia Pacific. Each year, in a span of 6 months, SCAPA identifies, benchmarks, and gathers citizen opinion to determine the best smart city initiatives in the Asia Pacific. And still coming from DOST PBOLS, they have conducted the second run of REDAS training for Light Rail Manila Corporation. The DOST PBOLS conducted a second batch of REDAS training for the Light Rail Manila Corporation after the successful first training batch held last April 2021. The current training is a combination of online and face-to-face means of teaching. The first attempt by PBOLS new teaching setup. The training is entitled Capacity Enhancement of Light Rail Manila Corporation on Hazard, Risk Assessment, and Exposure Database Development through the use of the REDAS software modules 1 and 2, Basic REDAS, Seismic Hazard Assessment, and Developing Relational Database in REDAS. The LRMC is the entity that operates and maintains the LRT Line 1 system, a public transport that services more than 450,000 passengers daily. And now for kinabukasan, we have a report from the DOST Science Education Institute that they have conducted what they call New Lab, NULAB, New Lab, STEM in Motion campaign in Northern Iloilo. The DOST Science Education Institute's New Lab program, in coordination with the DOST Region 6, is set to initiate a Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics in Motion campaign, STEM in Motion campaign in Iloilo, specifically in Anilao, Barotac Viejo, and Estancia. The Northern Iloilo campaign started last June 2 and will reach its last stop on June 10. The New Lab bus was launched back in July 2019 and aims to persuade senior high students to take up STEM majors in college. The bus houses individual monitors for students, wireless sensors, a large interactive board, laboratory-grade equipment, among other facilities that can simulate a learning environment that can encourage senior high school students to venture into science, technology, engineering, and mathematics fields. Moreover, the New Lab bus was inspired by the Science Explorer bus, which only catered to elementary and high school students. The current campaign was planned to cater to more than 500 students throughout 18 sessions which cover mathematics, polymers, chemistry, geology, physics, and rivers. In addition to new lab STEM in motion, the DOST SEI will also launch a partner campaign dubbed Push for Science, Maging DOST Scholar Ka. This is an orientation on the DOST scholarship programs. The next report is actually about the plan of the Muntinlupa local government unit to establish a science and technology corridor in cooperation with the DOST National Capital Region. And as an initial move, the LGU of Muntinlupa has allocated land for the DOST National Capital Region. A deed of usufruct was signed by Muntinlupa City Mayor Jaime Presnedi and the DOST NCR Regional Director Jose Patalinghug. Okay, this was done last June 1, 2022 at Muntinlupa City Hall. This is to formalize the city's allocation of 700.45 square meters of land to DOST NCR for the establishment of the latter's regional office, which will eventually be a part of the Science, Technology, and Innovation, or STI, corridor. The STI corridor will facilitate the interplay of the DOST NCR, city government of Muntinlupa, and local universities and colleges in the city, such as the Colegio de Muntinlupa, the Pamantasan ng Lungsod ng Muntinlupa, and other institutions like Muntinlupa City Technical Institute. Moreover, the STI corridor will serve as a hub where experts or consultants, researchers, inventors, innovators, and students can conceptualize, discuss, and build science and technology-based solutions to address issues in the region through research and development, innovations, and process and product development. This will also channel outputs from the research and development institutes at the DOST complex in Taguig to the south part of Metro Manila and its nearby areas. The other report in kinabukasan is about the building of a DOST Provincial Science and Technology Center for the province of Cotabato. This will soon rise, okay? And actually, we did the groundbreaking last week, last June 3, 2002. The land has been donated by the city government of Kidapawan, while the building construction is a commitment by the office of Congressman Rudy Kawagdan. So this is really a big boost to our activities in the province. Another report on kinabukasan is the opening of the Sultan Kudarat State University Halal Slaughterhouse. Actually, this was made possible because of the setting up of the DOST-assisted Niche Research Center for Halal Goat in Sultan Kudarat State University. So during my last day of visit in Region 12, last June 4, I was asked to unveil the Sultan Kudarat State University Halal Slaughterhouse building marker at the university's Lutayan campus. The next report, still in kinabukasan, is a report coming from DOST Philippine Council for Agriculture, Aquaculture, and Natural Resources R&D about the completion of their 4-year project in the implementation of SciSCAT. This is the establishment of DOST Picard Science for the Convergence of Agriculture and Tourism, SciCat, and the launch of the SciCat Guidebook. The Science for the Convergence of Agriculture and Tourism, or SciCat program of DOST Picard has completed its, or will complete its 4-year implementation on July 31, 2022. And they have actually shared the success stories and the accomplishments of these projects during an exit conference which was held last June 2, 2022, held in El Chirito Hotel in Baguio City. Since 2018, DOST PCARD has embarked on cutting-edge and comprehensive support programs for selected magsasaka scientista farms in agritourism entrepreneurship through the SciCat program. This project is made possible through the Council in partnership with the University of the Philippines Institute for Small-Scale Industries, selected state universities and colleges, and research and development institutes. In the last 4 years, the project has contributed to the build-up of local economies where magsasaka scientistas are no longer mere producers of crops and livestock, as they have already taken an active role in steering their local markets. These SciCat farm sites have been integral in promoting the package of technologies developed by state universities and colleges and research and development institutes in the creation of job opportunities, in the improvement of market viability for farmers, and in the generation of emerging agritourism practices. Still on kinabukasan, we have a report coming from the DOST Technology Application and Promotion Institute and DOST Region 2 about their conduct of an Invent School for students in Batanes and Nueva Vizcaya. This Invent School program actually serves as a platform for the youth to awaken their true ingenuity by stimulating their interest in creativity and inventiveness. So this program which they run involves a seminar workshop for elementary. Okay. The program actually involves a seminar workshop for elementary, high school, and college students. And it is designed to open the minds of students on techniques for developing one's creative knowledge, which is crucial in invention and prototype development as a starting ground for young Filipino inventors. And lastly, Intellectual Property Office Philippines presented awards during its 25th anniversary. DOST was cited. The Philippine Science High School was cited as partners. And the DOST Secretary usually was given an Intellectual Property Champion Award. This is all for this week. Maraming salamat sa ating mga taga-subaybay.
Maraming salamat po, Sec Boy. Natuloy po rin yung kabuuan ng DOST updates para sa nagdaang linggo. May namis ka mang balita, maaari mo po itong balik-balikan, istahin lamang aming website, dostv.ph, o download ang DOST TV app para sa inyong Android phone para pwede ka manood ng DOST Report anytime, anywhere. Sa aming pagbabalik, ating mga kasamang ilan sa mga DOST partners na galing sa mga universities sa iba't ibang reyon sa bansa. Wag po kimibitiw, magbabalik pa ang DOST Report.
Flavors of Science. Kikilitiin namin ang inyong pag-iisip, pati na rin ang inyong panlasa sa mga kaalaman tungkol sa siyensya sa likod ng produksyon ng pagkain. Ibabahagi namin ito sa aming official Facebook at Instagram pages, pati na rin sa aming YouTube channel. Mag-like, follow at subscribe na sa DOST PCARD.
Kayo po'y nakatutok sa DOST Report, ang programang una sa mga napapanong balita tungkol sa teknolohiya at inovasyon para sa bayan. Maraming programa ng DOST para sa taong bayan at marami rin mga academic institutions na nakikipagtulungan sa DOST para mapalakas po ang advokasya at mga proyekto nito upang mayangat ang kalidad ng buhay ng bawat Pilipino.
Tama ka, Onin, sa mga science and technology projects, sa mga research and development projects na mga ginagawa natin, ay kapartner natin ang mga higher educational institutions para gawin ito at para matugunan yung mga pangangailangan ng ating kababayan. At sa pagkakataong ito, tayo ay mapalad dahil makakasama natin ang mga heads of universities. Meron dito sa Luzon, meron sa Visayas, meron sa Mindanao. At isa-share nila sa atin ang kanilang mga karanasan sa pakikipag-partner sa Department of Science and Technology.
Tama po kayo, Sec Boy, ating bumakasama, Dr. Jose D. Camacho, Chancellor, University of the Philippines, Los Baños. Reverend Father Frederick C. Comendador, OSC President, University of San Agustin, Dr. Francisco Hiel N. Garcia, SUC President for University of Southern Mindanao, at Brother Vernon Oka, President de La Salle University. Magandang araw po sa inyo.
Unahin na natin si Chancellor Don Camacho ng UP Los Baños. Chancellor, ikaw ang una naming tatanungin.
Bunga po ng matinding kolaborasyon ng DOST at UP ang mga programa gaya po ng Quezon Puti Growth Supplement Research, Conservation of Endemic Tawilis at napakarami pong ibang programa na tunay malaking tulong sa ating pumansa. Magandang araw po sa inyo, Dr. Jose.
Magandang araw po.
Una sa lahat, Chancellor Dong, siguro i-share mo sa amin ang ilan sa mga major collaborations between UP Los Baños and DOST and its agencies.
Apo, Secretary Boy, napakalaking bagay po ang suporta ng DOST sa UPLB. Unahin ko na yung mga tinatawag nating mga big ticket projects, yung Project Saray, smarter approaches to reinvigorate agriculture as an industry in the Philippines, na ito'y nanguna sa paggamit ng mga iba't ibang teknolohiya, information technology, upang bigyang impormasyon ng ating mga magsasaka kung kailan sila magtatanim, kung paano sila mag-harvest ng kanilang mga pananim. So, ito'y upang gawin na ang agriculture ay maging smart as an industry. Nandiyan din po, Secretary Boy, yung Philippine LiDAR Project. Ito ay ang pagbuo ng mga flood hazard maps upang matukoy kung saan ba ang mga nag-aambang mga panganib sa ating mga lugar na maapektuhan ng mga sakuna, ng mga floods. Nandiyan din po sir ang MODESIRA. Ang MODESIRA ay ang Monitoring and Detection of Ecosystem Changes for Enhancing Resilience and Adaptation in the Philippines. Ano bang layunin ng MODESIRA? Ito ay upang alamin ang magiging pagbabago ng iba't ibang uri ng ecosystems sa ito pong epekto ng climate change sa pananim, lalong-lalo na sa agrikultura. Of course, nandiyan din po ang scholarship program ng DOST sa ating mga estudyante, sa mga faculty members. Napakarami pa po, Secretary Boy. Yung research tungkol sa tawilis ay malaking bagay ito sa ating mga fishermen folks. Salamat po.
Alright. Dr. Jose, paano po mapapalawak ang benepisyo ng mga programa at proyekto ng UPLB at ng DOST para sa mga mamamayan?
Malaking efforts ang mga inisyatibo natin sa extension and public surveys. Ang pangalawa ay yung technology commercialization. Mapapalawak natin ang mga inisyatibo na binigay sa pondo ng DOST sapagkat sa ating mga extension works, pumupunta tayo sa mga komunidad upang mapalawak ang paggamit ng mga teknolohiya na develop with the assistance and funding of DOST. Yung mga hindi pa nararating na komunidad, yung mga pamilya, yung mga magsasaka, through extension work, no? Mahalaga ang mga teknolohiyang ito upang mapabuti ang kanilang pamumuhay, ang kanilang pagsasaka. Yung technology commercialization, kapag pwede nang ipalaganap, pwede nang magamit ng private sector itong mga technology ito, mas mapapalawak pa ang paggamit ng mga teknolohiyang ito upang mas maraming tao ang makakagamit sa pamamagitan ng commercialization, no? Sapagkat syempre para ma-diffuse, no, mapalawak yung technology utilization, kailangan din natin ng mga private sector. So kailangan ma-commercialize ito sa pamamagitan ng suporta ng mga private sector.
Ano naman ang mahihiling mo, Chancellor Dong, para sa science and technology sector at para na rin sa DOST dito sa mga taong darating? Ano yung mga wish mo?
Sir Secretary, ah, marami po akong wish pero sana po lalo nyo pang pabigyang pansin ang sektor ng agrikultura kung saan ang UPLB ay malaki ang ambag nito upang mapalawig ang sektor ng agrikultura, upang mapayabong lalo-lalo na ang pamumuhay ng ating mga magsasaka. Secretary, tulungan niyo po kami dito sa aming research and extension agenda. Ang tawag po namin sa consolidated rebranded research agenda ay AGORA. AGORA, accelerating growth in one, research and extension in action. May apat na pillars po ito. In other words, sir, yung pong aming research and extension agenda para mas consolidated, mas focus, may apat na pillars. Una yung food security and sovereignty.
Yeah.
Pangalawa po ay yung One Health. Pangatlo ay yung resiliency and sustainability. Ang pang-apat ay patungkol sa research, may extension, sa tinatawag nating future communities and extension. So, malaki po ang aming mga inisyatibo, mga research patungkol dito sa apat na pillars or apat na themes na ito. Sir, pangalawa po ay sana po mas mapalawig pa po yung ating DOST scholarship. Mas marami pang mga eksperto, mga kasanayan, mapalaganap ang kasanayan ng ating mga mahuhusay na estudyante at faculty members. Alam niyo po, alam niyo naman po yan, Secretary, kailangan po papalawak ang bahagdan ng scientista dito sa ating bansa.
Ang ganda, Agora, madaling tandaan. Maraming salamat, Chancellor. Maraming salamat.
Salamat po, sir.
Maraming pong salamat, makinigan si Dr. Jose D. Camacho. Ngayon naman po, makasama po natin si Reverend Father Frederick C. Comendador, OSA, President ng University of San Agustin, Medicine Discovery Hub. Maraming salamat, Dr. Jose D. Camacho Jr. Ngayon naman po, makasama po natin si Reverend Father Frederick C. Comendador, OSA, President ng University of San Agustin, Medicine Discovery Hub, Kadios in Antibiotic at Local Development of New Anti-Cancer at Antimicrobial Drugs. Ilan naman po yan sa napakaraming programa na pinagtulungan ng University of San Agustin at DOST. Magandang araw po, Reverend Frederick.
Magandang araw po sa inyo. Salamat po sa pag-imbita sa akin dito sa programa ninyo.
Thank you, Father Comendador. And siguro i-request ko lang na i-share nyo sa amin kung ano yung mga major collaborations between the University of San Agustin and the Department of Science and Technology.
Yes, Secretary De La Peña. In fact, the University of San Agustin is really very grateful to your leadership, to the UST, for supporting a private institution such as ours. And we have a lot of engagements with the UST. First and foremost, the university now is declared as a two-class LUNAS Development Center. So a few years back, we started with this effort to discover new antibiotics and new drugs for cancer by going to yung marine sediments, beneficial bacteria from marine sediments. So we did an exploration to the different islands in the country. And right now, the university has more than 3,000 novel potential bacteria that can be useful for the discovery of new antibiotics. And of course, we also have the Tawa-Tawa project, which hopefully will bring an easy-to-use beverage for people who are suffering from dengue, yung low blood platelet count po. And then we are also looking into the Kadios as a potential skin antibiotic. So we are in partnership with private industries also here in Iloilo and in Bacolod for these drug discovery programs. And lately, we are very grateful with the presence of Secretary Peña. He came here to inaugurate a new laboratory, the Nuclear Magnetic Resonance in the Visayas. So we have this top-of-the-line NMR equipment. And this is part of the drug discovery program. And lastly, one of the major engagements that we have, and again, we are very grateful to the UST, is the scholarship grant that they're giving to our pharmacy faculty members for their MA and PhD programs. So all these are very beneficial to the community, especially if we will be successful in discovering new drugs. So utilizing, ginagamit natin ang mga natural products. No? And so we believe we have the potential and the expertise. And so with the help of the DOST, we are very hopeful that we can achieve what we envision. So maraming salamat po.
Sa inyo po, panig, paano po mapalawak pa ang benepisyo ng mga programa at proyekto ng University of San Agustin at ng DOST para sa mga mamamayan?
Yeah, I think one of the ways the DOST can help us is I think through the human resource development program and additional funding of the projects that we have. So as I said, the drug discovery process is quite lengthy and long, no? And we do not expect an immediate result on this. So I think consistency, persistence, and itong strong relationship with the government agency and other industry partners will really help widen this program and hopefully will bring the necessary benefits to the community. So yun po ang nakikita namin na pwedeng maitulong doon at paano mapalawak ang programa po.
Father,
Yes.
ulitin ko yung tanong ko kanina kay Chancellor Camacho. Ano ang wishes mo for the science and technology sector at para sa DOST din for these coming years?
Yes, Secretary. In fact, nagpapasalamat talaga ako sa iyong leadership. As I mentioned this many times, no? We are a private institution, but you did not discriminate. You did not distinguish ang government from private. So you treat us as equal. We can also be contributors to the aims and desires of the UST. And in fact, I'm also a believer na we can develop the country, the community through science and research. So that's why in the university with the experts that we have, we hope that the DOST will continue to support us. No? If we can also expand the scholarship, no, the faculty development program, the capacity building program of the DOST, no, across other programs, not only with our pharmacy program, but maybe with other programs that we have in the university. And of course, no, we also would like to venture to other areas of research, no, such as itong issue about pollution, climate change, and even itong problema po natin kung paano malutas ang kahirapan. So I think all these are we are one with you in promoting the development of the country. So with the support of the UST, I think makakayanan po.
Maraming salamat, Reverend Father Frederick Comendador. Ngayon naman po, makakapanin po natin si Dr. Francisco Hill and Garcia, SUC President for ng University of Southern Mindanao. Disease-resistant mango varieties, tablea at cacao research ang ilan sa mga kolaborasyon ng DOST at QSM na tunay nga malaking tulong sa ating mga kambayan. Magandang araw po, Dr. Francisco.
Magandang araw po sa inyo, Secretary, sa iyo, Sir Onin, no? At sa ating mga kasamahan, lalo sa ating mga tagapakinig.
Dr. Garcia, ay kamakailan lamang ay magkakasama tayo sa Kabakan at ako'y tuwan-tuwa sa mga nakita ko doon na mga nagawa ng ating mga researchers. Siguro i-share mo na lang sa ating mga taga-subaybay kung ano itong mga collaborations na ating ginawa between USM and DOST.
Magandang hapon po sa ating tagapakinig. Amin pong gustong ipabahagi sa inyo na dahil po sa tulong ng DOST, may nakamtan po kaming tulong mula sa kanila na humigit kumulang 313 million for the past 6 years. At ang kadamihan po niyan ay sa panahon po ni Secretary. Ngayon, ang iba po sa ito ay binigyan po kami ng DOST Pag-asa X-band radar. Ito po ay makikita po natin ang isang linggong sitwasyon ng ating weather. Dati-rati po, pupunta pa kami ng Cotabato City, mahigit na 2 oras sa biyahe upang makuha lamang ang datos ng ating mga ulan na sinasabi. So sa ngayon po, nandito na po yan sa University of Southern Mindanao. So maraming salamat po doon. Ang DOST din po ay nagbigay din po sa amin ng scholarships. Meron kaming na-produce na 4 na PhDs at 5 Master of Science and na nakakuha na po ng degree. Ang isa po ay pabalik na nga po galing sa France. Early this year po, ginawaran din po kami ng isang NICER program, yung sinasabi natin need centers in the region, no, for cacao development, dahil po marami po dito ang nagtatanim po ngayon ng cacao, no. So pasalamat po kami. Ito po ang pinakamalaki naming pondo, mahigit po 40 million po ang binigay po ni Secretary. Meron din po kaming Tuklas Luna Center. Ang purpose mo ito, katulad po ng iba, ay pag-aralan po ang biodiversity potential ng drugs for cancer. Meron na po kaming nagawang mga resulta, pero hindi pa po dapat ipalabas kasi ongoing pa po yung aming research. Dahil po sa DOST, tinulungan din po at ginamit po ang aming mga experts para maging tawag nitong consultant sa itong sa kape na tinatawag, yung Consultancy for Agricultural Productivity, na meron pong mahigit na 40 farmers at entrepreneurs ang aming tinutulungan ngayon. Meron din po kaming DOST, PICARD, and USM Agri-Aqua Technology Business Incubator. Dati-rati po ang aming mga researches ay nandyan lamang po papel at hindi po maabot sa farmers. So ngayon po meron na po kaming mga natulungang mga industriya upang magamit po ang mga technology. Salamat po sa DOST.
Paano ba po mapalawak ang benepisyo ng mga programa at proyekto po ng University of Southern Mindanao at ng DOST para sa mga mamamayan po natin, Dr. Garcia?
Ang isa po siguro sa madalas na hindi natin masyadong napagtuunan na sakit itong cancer. At marami po sa ating mga matatanda na nagsasabi na marami pong gamot na cancer na galing po sa mga halaman na nandiyan lamang sa paligid. At dahil po sa binigay na pondo ng ating DOST Secretary, nabigyan po kami ng mga makabagong equipment upang makita po namin alin dito sa mga tanim nito ang mga potential para po makatulong sa anti-cancer drugs na dinidevelop namin. Ito pong ring gauge radar ay talagang napakahalaga po dahil malalaman na po natin yung mga insidente ng pag-uulan, lalong-lalo ngayon na may tinatawag na climate change. So ito'y makakatulong sa ating magsasaka. Kailan ba sila magtatanim? Ano bang aasahan nila? Bagyo, ulan, o talaga bang tag-init? No? So hindi lamang po dito sa Mindanao meron ito. Marami pa po sa ibang river basins, katulad ng sabi ng ating administrator ng DOST Pag-asa. No? Pero higit sa lahat, ang amin lang pinasalamatan talaga ay yung pagtatag po ng DOST IPTDM where our technologies now reach the farmers. No? So meron na po kami ngayong 13 incubatees sa buong rehiyon po.
Dr. Garcia, ano naman ang wishes mo o kahilingan para sa ating science and technology sector at para na rin sa DOST sa mga haharapin nating mga taon?
Naway may pagpatuloy po ng ating DOST, yung ating tinatawag na ambisyon natin 2040, no? Isang matatag, maginhawa at panatag na buhay. A vision where Filipino families will live together, have time with friends, have freedom from hunger. Kasi ito nga po yung aming napag-usapan kanina sa isang representative ng Department of Agriculture, itong tinatawag na pinangangambahan nila na darating na food crisis. Ano? So sana po matulungan kami ng Department of Agriculture upang mapalago ang research namin sa palay. Sana po yung bagong DOST Secretary o sino man po yung mamumuno dyan sa DOST ay lalo pang magbibigay sa amin ng maraming scholarships para po mapatuloy namin ang mga researches na nakakatulong sa ating bayan.
Maraming salamat po, Dr. Francisco Hale and Garcia. Ngayon naman po, ay makasama po natin si Brother Bernard Oca, President ng De La Salle University. Preserving Indigenous Language Through Technology. Isa lamang po yan sa mga magandang proyekto na pinagtulungan po na buuin ng DLSU at ng DOST. Layunin po rito na sagitin ang mga endangered indigenous language sa bansa gamit po ang Mobile Electronic Dictionary. Magandang araw po, Brother Bernard.
Sir Onin, at magandang araw din, Sec Boy.
Brother Bernard, maaari mo bang i-share sa ating mga taga-subaybay kung ano yung mga major collaborations between De La Salle University and the Department of Science and Technology.
Marami kami nakukuhang substantial research funding sa DOST. Yung mga grants ng DOST ay nagpagbigay sa amin ng maraming mga proyekto na ang mga faculty members namin ay nakakuha para magawa nila ang kanilang pananaliksik at ang magamit ng kanilang expertise, no? So because of the DOST's solid support towards DLSU has become an internationally competitive research-intensive university, as evidenced by our nearly 8-fold growth in research and development output in the previous decade. In return, we have contributed more than our fair share to the total national output of the new knowledge from public funded research. Ngayon, yung mga proyekto nagawa namin na talagang pinagmamalaki namin, yung Brother Alfred Shields Ocean Research Center or tinatawag naming SHORE. Ang activities nito ay nasa marine station namin sa Batangas at ang focus nitong SHORE ay yung tinatawag na mapping the state of the country's coral reef ecosystems for substantial or sustainable fisheries to feed a growing nation. Also, dun sa short team namin na pinangungunahan ni Professor Dr. Ali Kwanan, nakagawa kami ng research-based solutions such as community-based citizen science monitoring schemes. And ito ay nakapag-contribute sa pag-achieve ng SDG 2 and SDG 14. In 2021, DLSU also received large grants for two NICER programs, grants for two based in our Laguna campus. These two programs focus on high-tech healthcare under our Institute for Biomedical Engineering and Health Technologies, and the second one, and control of mosquito-borne diseases under our Center for Natural Sciences and Environmental Research. Ito naman dalawang ito ay pinangungunahan ni Professor Bugtay at Professor Amalin. And finally, two notable long-term initiatives na ginawa ng DOST's ERDT and ASTHRDP scholarship programs have supported master's and PhD studies of graduate students across our STEM disciplines. We have produced hundreds of STEM graduates over the past decade or so with the support of these two programs. The Philippines still has a long way to go to reach the UN benchmark figure for number of researchers per million people in order to support a robust knowledge-based economy. We look forward to the continuation of our partnership with DOST through these and future expanded scholarship programs to help build human capital for the nation's future.
Ano naman, Brother Bernard, ang pagpapalawak ng benepisyo at ng mga programa at proyekto ng De La Salle University at ng DOST para sa mga mamamayan? Kamusta po ang pagpapalawak po ito?
Alam nyo na talagang nagtatagumpay kayo sa inyong national development drive na tinatawag na Science for the People. Ang ating country has been rising in the global innovation rankings and is now firmly lodged in the second quartile of the latest edition released in 2021. This trend bodes well for our common future as it shows the capability of the Philippine economy to use knowledge as basis for the development. DOST research grants and scholarships have also been instrumental in the development of higher education institutions like DLSU. This support has allowed more local universities to be listed in international rankings, which is an important indicator of the competitiveness and credibility of the Philippine higher education system. In short, DOST's critical contributions to the generation of research-based knowledge outputs and STEM-trained human resources will help the nation provide a solid foundation for building a knowledge-based economy for future generations of Filipinos. I extend my congratulations to Sec Boy and his team at DOST for their nation-building initiatives over the past 6 years.
Ang huli kong tanong, Brother Bernard, ano naman ang iyong wishes or hiling para sa ating science and technology sector at para na rin sa DOST dito sa mga darating na mga taon?
DLSU can continue to generate new knowledge across a broad spectrum of disciplines through an R&D portfolio supported by DOST. These projects will give more expertise for DLSU's deep research talent pool, which includes many of the country's leading experts. With portfolio diversification, this is key. Some of our projects will be geared towards solving local issues, such as providing more affordable healthcare and enhancing food security. Some of the grants will be geared towards producing scientific knowledge, which is one of the key indicators of the Global Innovation Index. DLSU has also contributed 1/7 of the nation's total production of scientific knowledge, and we intend to continue to make substantial contributions in this important area, where the Philippines sometimes underperforms. On the other hand, some of our initiatives will also target product commercialization through our technology business incubator, which we call Animo Labs. We have a Laguna campus, also serves as our research station through the state-of-the-art scientific equipment in our central instrumentation facility. Now, meron kaming tinatawag na NMR units and a wind tunnel which will be operational by the end of the year. Itong mga equipment na ito ay papagamit namin sa iba't ibang mga researchers, Filipino researchers from different parts of the country through institutional agreements and partnership. And then, of course, ine-emphasize ng DOST yung importance or ang kahalagahan ng people, ang tao. So the university is happy to continue with our partnership with DOST in building up the country's STEM human resource base. Our undergraduate and graduate programs have a strong track record of getting DOST scholars to the finish line to allow them to make their contributions as players in the Philippines' knowledge workforce. Our education portfolio integrated school based in multiple campuses and a newly configured School of Lifelong Learning focusing on continuing education. So we are thus able to provide a Lasallian education to the very young, to university-age youth, and to adults who want to retool their minds to keep up in a fast-changing world. In summary, DLSU sees itself as DOST's strong partner in national development initiatives. My team and I will be happy to discuss more projects for expanding our cooperation with DOST. As we say in DLSU, the future begins here.
Maraming salamat po, Brother Bernard Oka, at sa lahat ng ating mga following ngayon. Sa boy, makaming mga nais pakikumatid sa ating mga taga-sumaymay.
Una sa lahat, nagpapasalamat ako sa ating mga heads of universities na nagpaunlak sa atin para ma-interview natin ngayon. At ang masasabi ko lang, malaki ang magagawa kung magkakaroon ng magandang partnership at collaboration. At sa nakita mo naman, itong ating mga piniling tulungan ay hindi naman nakakonsentrate sa isang lugar. Sa hangarin natin na magkaroon ng pagkakapantay-pantay o mabawasan ang hindi pagkakapantay-pantay, ay sinikap natin na ang ating research pool ay lumaki at mapasama ang mga universidad natin na nasa iba't ibang rehiyon. Marami na silang capabilities na pwede na nating magamit. Kailangan lang talaga to enable them to carry this out. And ang masasabi ko lang, katulad ng binanggit kanina ni Chancellor Camacho, sana ay magsikap din tayo, yung mga universities, ang DOST at ang iba pang ahensya ng gobyerno na mapalaganap ang utilization ng research and development, yung resulta ng research and development, andyan na rin yung commercialization ng technologies, o kung yung mga teknolohiya naman ay talagang for public good, ay ikalat, i-roll out talaga para maraming makinabang. So muli, pasasalamat sa ating mga heads of universities na amin talagang malaki ang naitulong sa aming pag-implement ng aming research and development and science and technology strategies.
Salamat po, Sec Boy, sa aming pong pagbabalik. Sasagutin ni Sec Boy at ang ating mga panuhin ang tanong ng bayan. Sa pagbabalik po yan ng DOST Report. Media questions are in. It's time for itanong mo kay Sec Boy. Para po sa unang katanungan, ang tanong ito mula kay Maricar Banzon ng DCRJ. For Father Frederick, ano po ang nais ninyong tulong na maaaring ibigay po ng magiging bagong sekretary ng DOST?
Continuous na suporta po ng DOST. At yung sinasabi ko, yung programa po ni Dr. De La Peña, Secretary De La Peña, especially dun sa faculty development program. Right now, we have started with our pharmacy program. We are sending faculty members to Malaysia for further studies for their MA, MS, and doctorate program po. So we hope that we can expand this faculty development program to other programs in the university. And of course, I hope that the idea of sharing the government resources to private institutions such as ours will continue without discrimination. So yun po ang sana nais kong ma-continue po ng bagong whoever will be the new secretary of the DOST.
Meron po kami tanong dito mula po kay Bel Surara ng Radyo Agila. Kamustahin ko lang po ang tungkol sa Pag-asa X-Band Radar Brain Station, Food Center, DOST Card Technology Center, DOST Office at USM Tuklas-Tunas Development Center.
Ito pong DOST radar band ay na-inaugurate po last week lamang sa pagbisita po ng butihing secretary. At ito po dumating po dito mismo yung ating administrator, si Administrator Malano. Yung ating namang Tuklas-Tunas Center ay meron na rin pong nagawang unang mga kabatiran o kaalaman regarding sa ating itong cancer. Ang ginawa po nila, kumuha po tayo ng cancer cells mula po sa Germany. Binili natin yun at pinadami po natin. At doon po natin susubukan kung gaano ka-epektibo yung nakita nila ng mga tanim na may potential na anti-cancer capabilities. Doon naman sa mga ating mga tanim dito sa Mount Apo, kasi ito yung isang biodiversity na isa rin na hindi ko nabanggit kanina. Meron po kaming pag-aaral about sa mga bat population doon. Sana po may pagpatuloy pa ito ng ating DOST na incoming kung sino man yung mga mag-head nito para mapunduhan po ang pag-aaral. Kasi po sa kabila po ng ating Mount Apo, aside from the side ng ating Cotabato, ito na lang po natitirang, kung makikita niyo, maraming tawag natin forest. Sa kabila po wala na po. So sana po may preserve po natin ito sa tulong po ng DOST. Marami pong mga halaman na nandoon na posibleng makatulong sa atin upang hindi na po tayo mag-import ng mga gamot para po sa mga sakit na ating dinaramdam.
Salamat po sa inyong pagsagot. Salamat din po sa ating mga kaibigan sa media na nagpadala ng kanilang katanungan ngayong araw. Sekboy, imbitahan po natin ang ating mga taga-subaybay na magalang sikat bukas at sa araw ng linggo.
Okay, Onin, isa na namang kahilingan ang tutuparin ng agham at teknolohiya para sa Siyensikat, ang Pinoy Popular Science para sa lahat. Ito ay mapapanood natin sa darating na sa Sabado at sa Linggo dito sa CNN. Pag umaga ay 8 in the morning at paghapon naman ay 4 in the afternoon. So panoorin natin ang Siyensikat, Pinoy Popular Science para sa lahat.
Salamat po muli sa inyong pagsubaybay. Mas marami pang balita mula sa mundo ng agham at teknolohiya ang ating pag-uusapan. Kaya tutok lamang kayo tuwing Biyernes alas 4 ng hapon dito sa DOST Facebook page at YouTube channel. Palagi rin tumutok sa mga websites at FB pages ng ating mga ahensya ng DOST para sa latest happenings at mga events tungkol sa iba't ibang R&D projects at mga inomasyon. Bisitahin din ang DOST Philippines FB page para di mahuli sa mga nakalinya activities ng DOST. Ako po si Orin Miranda. Ito ang mga balita may kinalaman sa agham, teknolohiya at inomasyon, hatid ng pagbabago para sa maunlad na mundo.
At ako po muli si Secretary Fortunato de la Peña ng DOST na nagpapasalamat sa inyong patuloy na pagsubaybay sa DOST Report.